at an age of 14, 15 minutes, get on a plane, do a shoot, come home. If it was back then, go to school, do your homework.
What's the crazy story that happened to you?
Oh, there's too many. Being in a room that's just full of fire, being in water, working with an elephant, they have to pee every 15 minutes. If you see me on the airplane, I'm crying. I wanted to be mom more than anything. So I didn't even think what that means for a model. It's not that important.
What about AI? H&M just replaced their models.
Why keep everyone around that's mediocre? It's easier to use AI. But if there is still these core people with great values and who are so good at their job, yes, people will still want to be around them.
How do you become that model? Coco, thank you so much. I'm enjoying this camp a lot, giving me so much energy. And this is your 147th time doing it. Where does the energy come from?
I honestly, sometimes at the end of it, I'm like, wow, we did that one more time. But it really has to do with the energy of the room. And as you saw, sometimes at the beginning, people could be shy or bashful. And you're like, oh, to get it out of them. And then there's a moment, something changes in the room and everyone's excited. So it's really not my energy. You're feeling their energy and it helps me too.
How do you manage this? So you have a camp that runs 10 times a year. You are a top model. You have 3 kids and you also have a modeling agency and you invest in businesses.
Yes.
Okay, tell me how this all works.
Yes, I think that it's funny how people see the name of anybody like Coco Rocha, and therefore she must do it all. It's beautiful teams. We have a fantastic team led by my husband here at Model Camp. I have fantastic managers at Nomad, but plus my personal managers, who again, my husband is my manager. So I guess like family oriented is really important. Like we keep our business and family, you know, it's close at hand because as you see, my daughter's here. It's not like it's one and the other, it's all one thing. So we make sure that our teams can support us, you know, personally, that can be part of the business. We have great grandparents that help with the kids. I just think like the behind the scenes is what people don't register on, especially content creators, models, athletes, actresses, and actors. They usually just think it's just us doing all the work, like we're some sort of Superman.
But it's still a lot of you, right? You're leading this thing. You're here on the weekend. And then you probably have to travel in the next 2 weeks to another part of the world.
Yeah, and I guess in my mind, that's normal. Like this is how I've grown up in business. At an age of 14, 15 minutes, get on a plane, do a shoot, come home. If it was back then, go to school, do your homework. Then I started having more businesses and more opportunities. So I don't really know any different. So when people say you're busy, I'm like, yeah, I guess I am. This is just kind of how it's always been. So they do say, give a busy person something to do and they'll get it done, right? It's usually the people that do have multifaceted things that people are fascinated by, but they're the ones that are like, no, I can get it done for you.
Yeah, and your husband is always with you.
Yes.
And I used to work with my husband when we stopped. And you know, the reason was I didn't feel safe because all the eggs are in the same basket. Like the whole family during the pandemic. We're in the travel business.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, you know, I don't know. Have you ever had these thoughts of like,
I'm sure I've had a moment or two with this turbulence on a plane and I'm like, we're both on this plane. But on the other hand, I try not to think in that kind of way. My mom was a flight attendant, and so she traveled always, and she was a single mom, although my dad did live a few provinces over. So in my head, it was kind of like that was all I had, and she was able to travel and do things and support me. So I still think like we live a safe life. We don't do anything too crazy. And yeah, I have thought of that. However, I like to think that because we do work together, we get to share things that most couples don't get to share ever. You know, like our date nights, people laugh. They're like, oh, don't talk about business. I'm like, that is our life. We sit and we'll talk about what happened the day or what's the next project, what's the next ideas. Most couples don't get to do that. They don't even know what their significant other did. And then plus, we get to bring our kids. So yeah, I guess there's the pros and cons of stuff, but I see too many pros of us working together. And funny enough, I think most people, because they think they'll fight. Like, oh, I can't be with them all day long because we're just going to have too much, friction and tension. We don't fight about work. We'll fight about like, oh, why didn't you make the bed and why is the dishes not done? But it's not work. We're very level-headed when it comes to work. We have the same ideas. Usually when he's saying something, I finish the sentence. So we're compatible to work well together. And I do love it. And I hope my kids, if they ever want to like continue family business, if that's what you call it, they have a chance to continue doing it with family.
Oh my God, this girl's story is so inspiring to me. Just imagine, she started her career at 15. She's still going. And it's been over, 25 years? And she runs several businesses, and she's a mom to 3 kids, and she's managing everything like a pro. How? By mastering time management and focusing on what she does best. As a business owner, mom of 2 for now, and a full-time content creator, I can say that it's not just about managing your time and having a solid team. It's about using the right tools that make your life easier. That's why I'm so excited about the latest update from Gamma app. It's one of my favorite time-saving AI tools. They are no longer just for presentations. They now can help you create websites, documents, social media content, and more. So whether you're a consultant, solopreneur, educator, marketer, or sales pro, Gamma is the ultimate all-in-one content creation tool. And the best part, with Gamma, you can create it in minutes, not hours. Just watch how Gamma turns my ideas into a stunning LinkedIn carousel in just a few clicks without touching any design tool. Let Gamma make your work easier, faster, and more impactful. It's the tool that allows you to focus on what really matters while it takes care of the rest. Unlock the power of AI at gamma.app.
And you've been in the career for 20 plus years.
Yeah, I'm like, I gotta do a little math sometimes.
Yeah, and you mentioned something that it's not about like, of course looks are important, but it's how you network, how you behave on this at the set, on the scene. Can you walk me through that, like some of your networking tips and being nice to people?
I think I will talk about it later in some of the classes, but one of my favorite quotes is, it's nice to be important, but it's important to be nice. And I think too many models, again, might start their careers with this belief that one day I'll be such a success and I can just, I don't know, be intense, aggressive, nasty. I can do whatever I want because people love a villain. And models aren't villains. The models I know that have made it and successfully made it over and over and over are truly the nice ones in the room. Most. It's like a 0.something% that make it to the top, but will usually be very thoughtful and kind. And it really, in the end, if I were hanging out with someone for 8 hours and they were just so lovely, but maybe their ears are a little quirky or their nose is a little funny, I'm gonna think it's beautiful now. But if I see something that I truly thought gorgeous, but internally started to be nasty, rude, somehow they don't look so gorgeous to me anymore. And I think that is how it works in fashion. Some people might wonder, like, why is Coco around? She doesn't have unique features, nothing of, I'm a brunette girl.
I think you
but I'm not like,
when I first saw
I'm
you
not
on the red carpet,
myself.
I'm like,
You're
oh,
so cute.
whoa.
But I'm not lowering myself or saying like, oh, I'm not pretty. I'm just saying some people could say that. But maybe once they meet me, they're like, oh, I get it now. That's what I think most models at top are. So for all my models that are starting and are so focused on how they look, looks do matter, like you said, to a point. But then most people are just going to be gravitated to you because how you work, how you treat people. And
this energy shows, right?
Yeah. And people just realize you love your job. I want to be around someone that loves their job, not someone that sucks the energy out of a room,
100%.
right? Even though they're gorgeous.
What about AI?
Yeah.
H&M just replaced their models with, they kind of replicated some of their models. What do you think is going to happen?
Yeah, I think right now we're going to play around with it. And it's going to be a little shocking, right? It's in the press. If we keep using it, it might not be so shocking. We might not even care. But there's something to the live audience, the real thing. For example, you think of theater. Who needs Broadway? No one actually needs it. We can go watch a movie on Netflix. It's very easy to sit in my bed and watch TV and see something quite fantastic. But there's something about the in the room, the experience, to watch someone do it right there. It's just something different. I don't think we're going to lose that for the next little while.
What about the commercial though? Like if it's just, all of the websites that are selling where you're just required to sell like that.
And it could, you know what? Maybe they do start using AI for the simpler things. But look we're in a room full of models that don't want to do the simpler things. Isn't it interesting?
Yeah.
So yeah, models can complain all they want and say AI is taking over. But then on the other flip side, they're complaining that they have these jobs where they just stand there. What do you want?
Yeah.
Do you want the job where it's boring but you get money? Or are you complaining that AI is taking those? So I don't know yet where I stand on that, but when it comes to the very theatrical photo shoots where the performance has value, I'll see some people will use it because they're just maybe cheap is easier. But there are the people that want the experience.
The art, right?
And they want the art, and they still exist. And so they'll do it that way. Just like, do you know there's a ton of photographers that still use film? That's not easy. They should probably just use digital cameras, but they love the experience of film, and they'll continue to use it. So it is going to be kind of like most creative fields. It will start to crumble, and we'll figure out what's going on. But then there will be the light of the tunnel for some individuals. And that's why I say to the models, it's important that you're actually good at your job. Because why keep everyone around that's mediocre? Why keep them people that complain or are mean or nasty? It's easier to use AI. But if there is still these core people with great values and who are so good at their job, yes, people will still want to be around them and watch them because it's live art.
How do you become that model? Do you think social media for a model is important, social media presence?
Yeah, I think that we are, and we're going to have this class a little later, but there's going to come a time where our content creators or bloggers or, whatever you want to call them, and models or traditional models, it's going to be warped into one. You will not be able to model without having a substantial part in social media. And those that have started off in social media, you're going to have to find a way to make sure that your artistic eye is not just this one direction, because people get tired of that. So you have to learn to be a muse to other people and sell products that aren't yours. It's one. I think it's so strange how both worlds look badly at each other. Or it's like, you can't be part of my club. Well, you can't. You do. And so models need to take a note from content creators, because they took something that was nothing and created an empire. And yeah, content creators look at models and go, how did they get from nothing to all of a sudden on the covers of magazines? We have stuff that we should learn from one another.
Yeah. Do you think there exists a fast track to becoming a top model these days?
No,
you go viral on TikTok and suddenly you're... But like Emma Chamberlain is such a great example, like how she entered the fashion world just being a YouTube creator.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
But how long was she trying to be a YouTube creator?
Yeah, she's been creating on YouTube for over 10 years,
there
right?
You go.
Yeah.
So I think people say something is fast, forgetting that there was years before that.
Maybe not fast, non-traditional, right? Because she
and
never
I love
started
non-traditional.
Walking the catwalk.
Yeah.
She was just making those vlogs, and suddenly she's the face of Miu Miu and Louis Vuitton.
Yeah, and I love that. That's how I wish models would think now, because so many want a traditional experience to almost validate, oh, I'm a model because I traditionally did the model path. And nowadays I'm like, why does that matter? And no one's looking at me going oh, traditional, you're the better ones. It's just wow, look at you creating something and people actually resonating with it, and they're obsessed with it. And here you are in this new category that you never saw yourself before. How great is that? No one is going to care. I don't think they should care. Were you scouted in a mall? Yeah. And then you went to an agency, and then you became a big time deal. I prefer actually the models that had background in creating something on their own, and they know what it's like to achieve and fail, so that when they bring it to modeling, they know how to successfully do this and not do it.
Do you get any backlash from the fashion world? This is not
this is
too
not fashion.
Artistic. This is not fashion.
When I started, for sure, I got a lot of, not so much phone calls, more like in-person meetings saying, continue using these platforms and we won't work with you anymore. You're watering down the aesthetic of a fashion model. Now look, all of us have to be on it.
Did you lose any contracts for that?
I'm sure, not lost contracts, but I'm sure I lost opportunities I wasn't even aware of.
Wow.
And I still think to this day, some people might think I'm gimmicky. Some people might think, Coco used to do such of the traditional world, and now look at her, she's doing sort of these silly, a TikTok video. Oh, but then I have to say, for my business, do I actually want to work or support people that do not see how the future is going? So then it actually is a relief for me to not have my name associated, because those individuals or those companies are going to figure it out soon. But if they don't figure it out, they're just going to die out as a company. And so I'm fine that I wasn't associated, right? So for all my people building businesses or your modeling careers, it's okay to hear the word no, because they don't see your value. And maybe one day they will, because they realize in growth that you were on the right path. Or maybe, guess what? You were on the wrong path. And in growth, you do find yourself with them. But I never say, don't burn the bridge. I don't need to say to someone, you're wrong and I'm right. I bow out gracefully. Thank you for your time. And we'll see where we're at another year, another 2 years. But at this point, social media has not done me bad, except maybe lost a few opportunities. And those people are now catching up, figuring out how to use this platform that they should have started a long time ago.
Yeah, that's great. But have you ever thought of like slowing down at least? With 3 kids, you're doing so many things. Were there any thoughts like, oh, maybe with this I need to stop, but like double down here so I can be more with my family?
I think people must think I'm always on the move and traveling. I am very much a stay-at-home mom a lot of the time. Again, those businesses are run by some very beautiful, amazing partners and also teams so that it can all flow. I mean, no joke, my husband is the man behind the scenes. And honestly, I trust his judgment and his decision-making that he'll pretty much be like, hey, you have this option. What do you think? I'll be like, yep. And then I kind of forget about it. He'll be like, and that option is now a job and you're going tomorrow. I just get to literally show up and be around the kids, go to school functions, take them to their like play dates, I'm with them all the time. It's my favorite thing. And so that's our deal, is that he does all the computer work behind the scenes and I'll show up for the jobs, but please let me like hang out and be the mom. And he's so great at letting me just having those opportunities.
So I'm trying to understand your schedule. So in a month, how many days are you a normal mom?
Every day.
Every day?
I, for example, this morning woke up. My middle boy, he has a project on tornadoes. And so we woke up together and we worked on the project together.
You woke up, what, 6 a.m.?
Yeah.
Because the camp started at 9.
Yeah, so 6 a.m. He got up, so we got on tornado project. We had breakfast together. My littlest was with Grandpa having a sleepover. And my oldest, as you see, is here. So everyone gets a little time. And then after I leave at a very specific time at model camp, I get to go and I tell the models, I'm going home to be mom now. And usually everyone respects that. I'll have movie night with them. I'll do bath tonight. I put everyone to bed, wake up. They have school tomorrow. James will run them to school before we have model camp. So we're there.
Yes, you're involved.
Yeah, we're involved. And they're right now hanging out with grandparents.
And you have your grandparents here, so when you travel, grandparents...
Sometimes, yeah. So Grandma right now is from England. She's here for a little bit. My mom's from Canada. She'll come for a little bit. And James's dad lives nearby. So we always just have like someone nearby. And then we have, like I said, some great staff who are literally like their brothers and sisters.
That's great.
They're older, and they love them. As you see, like I only just went with one of our staff members. She thinks of them as their big sisters.
That's awesome.
And it's great because they need support in different ways. And it doesn't always have to be mom and dad, but like they can share with other people. It's fantastic. I wish I had this when I grew up. Not so much the modeling, I'm just saying the support. It was me and my mom. And then when she was gone, I had babysitters. And
you had 58 babysitters,
58
something like that. I've heard that
good
number.
for you. 58 babysitters. And
That's
not
crazy.
all of them were great.
Yeah.
And I didn't have the support. So I think being very present is very important to me. And it is the hardest thing when we travel, say, to Cannes or to Paris. If you see me on the airplane, I'm crying. I'm wishing to be with them. And I know that it's only 5 days, and I don't do that quite often. But it bothers me, and I think it's young Coco, when her mom left, comes back, and she's missing. But I know my kids are like, see you.
Do you tell yourself, this is the last trip, this is the last trip?
Never is it the last trip. It's just, it'll get better. And it's, again, when I leave, they're fine. They're like, I'm with my grandparents, I'm with my brother and sister. I have play dates planned. You've, filled my days that I'm going to have fun. It's me. It's my little, like, remembering how it felt. And it's funny how that's just never gone away. So I really make sure it's always special with them.
Yeah, mine cries. So this is probably the last trip, but I might have to work next one as well.
And you know what? They're good. I look back and I cried when my mom left, but also I'm not like, how horrible.
Yeah, it's not
like it's like
lifelong trauma.
No, but it's things that I'm like, I wish I was on those trips. I bring my kids, and I'm sure you're going to like do more and more with them the older they get. School gets in the way. But it starts to be so fun where we get to share all this together.
But can you walk me through this decision when you're like, I'm going to have this kid and then the second kid and third kid, and I'm a top model and my body is basically my product, right?
Oh, so the first time, honestly, I didn't probably know enough to know. And
How
that's
old were
probably
you?
good. I think I was pregnant at 24.
Oh, wow.
24 or 25. And it was just an excitement. Like, I wanted to be mom more than anything. So I didn't even think of like what that means for a model. I probably announced it too early because everyone's like, oh, she's pregnant, so she has a bump, so we can't work with her. And I was like, oh, well, why am I working now? After having baby, my body seemed to have gone through its natural course. And a few months later, I was able to go back to work. I was excited to go back to work. Whereas some people say the models are pressured, they have to do it immediately. I thought of it as I can't wait to share my new life with my baby in my world that I love. And so as a model, it is fascinating. We get to kind of decide things when we go to work. Like, I can decide if I'm bringing my kid or not. I can decide, well, I need to breastfeed.
Yeah, right?
Mommy's has to work, but also mom has to take care of you. So if that meant like bringing a grandparent while they'd watch them and I'd shoot and then I would feed. And then at certain points, like, okay, they can stay home and I'll work. But other times I'm like, let's just bring. Why not?
Yeah, with the third kid, like when you know what it takes when they're 2 years old, 3 years old, it's like a completely different involvement. Or you're like, oh, maybe I should postpone.
No, the third one was the day they announced COVID was the day I found out I was pregnant.
Oh, perfect timing.
So I was like, I'll just be staying home
awesome.
being pregnant. It was a little nerve-wracking because you're like, there's something growing in me that I want to protect, and the world is crazy right now. But no, the third one, I wanted another baby. So there was a time where my life, I allowed the industry to, and I say it in a generalization, it's not all bad people, but the industry dictated what I would do and how would I do it, and like be thankful and don't mess it up. And I think that I was so over that, that anything when it comes to my decisions now, I won't ever allow that to happen again. So I never really have thought like, oh, why did I get pregnant? I'm going to mess this all up. It's because I knew that being a mom probably was going to be far more fabulous than doing this 5 more years. If they told me you were done. And here we are today. We're not done. We're still doing it. And I'm glad I took those opportunities. But yes, I know some models that they wouldn't get pregnant because they were so worried about the career. And I'm like, the career is not to me, is not that important to change my entire course of life just so I could be relevant for 1 more year.
Yeah, and you've done so many other things differently in the industry because you advocated for, in New York, right, that girls are now treated as actors, minor girls are treated as minor actors. When you're doing these changes and you're like changing the whole thing completely and you get hate, what is your mindset? Like, how do I continue pushing? What is your support system?
In 2013, there was a flaw. Before 2013, there was a flaw in that there was no protection for underage models, and then we were able to fix that. I thought in my mind, wow, this is going to be that moment in my career where people will look back and be like, remember that time that you did that thing? And I thought it was always going to be a positive reaction. And my first photo shoot after that, I got like a big round of applause of the shoot, and I was like, oh, this is it. This is how it will always be. And then one individual just jumped at me and was like, what did you do? Who do you think you are? Because your career is, falling, you thought you should destroy the rest. And I was like, wow, someone believes that? And the room didn't know how to react, so they didn't do anything. And I thought, oh my goodness, never mind the positive. I might actually be entering rooms where people just can't stand me.
Yeah.
And it hurts when you have stuff like that, when you realize you're not trying to be the whistleblower. You're not trying to be mean or nasty. You're just thinking that people would like to take care of their models and like to take care of their children, and they didn't see it that way. And so, I sometimes still have a hard time in rooms where people look at me and are like, goody two-shoe, the girl that always wants to like better, but is she really that better? I second guess a lot of what people are thinking about me, and it's something I'll have to probably deal with forever.
How do you deal? Does it fade away?
It doesn't fade away. I'll have great days where I walk in a room and I can tell someone's not in me. I'm like, that's fine. And then other days you're like, why do I feel so vulnerable and nervous? And I'd say to anyone, you're never going to have an appropriate reaction. It's just how you're feeling at that time. Hormones, sleep, deprived, sick, empowered or not, that is going to dictate how you're going to react to things in that moment. So I never can look back at a moment and be like, you should have done better. That's how I was going to react at that moment for what I was going through at that very time. So that's how I deal with it. And I'm okay if I do cry sometimes from a reaction or response. And I'm proud of myself when I react otherwise. But you're right. You do want to have a team. You want people that can talk to you and be reasonable with you.
Yeah.
James is that person with me. It sometimes annoys me how reasonable he is. I'm like, no, I just want you to hear me cry. But he will. Like the other day I had a moment and reasonably told me some stuff. And I was like, I needed to hear that. That's exactly what I needed to know. I knew it, but I needed to hear it. So for people in business, again, stop finding the yes man, the person that always says yes to you and agrees with you and tells you whatever you want to hear. You do need the no man sometimes. And as much as you hate it in the moment, you don't really want to hear that you did wrong or you should have done this. Those are the people that really will benefit your career or your businesses.
I like how you explain this. You do not avoid these feelings. You lead through them and you're like, yeah, this is... Yeah, because I thought when I was just starting out the creator career, I was like, probably once I'm 10 years into it, I just developed this immune system against hate. It never happens.
Also, it's because you're a good person. So good people, you're not going to turn into some sort, I hope you don't turn into some robot that has no feelings anymore. I hope you react. I hope you're like, oh, that ignited something that's frustrating me. But if you all of a sudden just like nothing bothers you, that's strange. And I don't want that for people. But like you heard me in class, I do want people to like hear, feedback on a photo shoot and not assume it's always negative. Like not everything someone says to us should be translated as like, they don't like me, they hate me.
Yeah.
And I think that's one thing we all need to add in our filter system is like filter that a little before you judge it completely.
Yeah, like thinking of yourself as a business.
Yeah, that's just figure it out.
Business, me, producer,
it's all those
the
things.
difference.
And so sometimes I remember saying to people early on in my career, this person bullied me and this person did this and this and this. And looking back, I was like, no, they weren't trying to bully me. I just immediate response was that's what they were trying to do. So I always say like filter it, just make sure like what you are seeing is what exactly they're actually giving.
Yeah.
And to your surprise, you might realize not everyone is a meanie. Not everyone's trying to be a bully. Depending on their background, their upbringing, where they live, they might just speak matter of fact.
Exactly.
And you're from a place where you're a little more soft in your approach.
Yeah. I need some beauty tips from Coco. Coco, who has 3 kids and travels around the world. So when you're going on a 16-hour trip for 3 days in China, I don't know, what is your strategy of staying alive?
Yeah, you know what? I could sleep on the dot. Like on a plane, I can really just fall asleep, wake up, start. As moms, I think we're very sleep deprived. So I think it's actually great for our kind of work because you can take a few hours and start the day. I don't think I have the greatest answers when models ask me or people ask me, like, how do you do it? It's, again, like there's light at the end of the tunnel. When I get back from that trip, I'll go back to normal life, normal experiences. I'll be able to go to bed and sleep. But right now, it's chaos. And so get through it. And
just survive.
Just survive.
Melatonin, I don't know. Like,
no.
Just
and also, like that to me, try to find positive out of a negative. The negative might be, oh my goodness, I'm gone for hours and I only have to be there for a few hours and then back on a plane. I get to go watch movies and eat on a plane, sleep, and no one's pulling my clothes, even though I'm upset that I'm not with them. There's also like, wow, there's this piece and a little like this movie I've always wanted to watch. Yeah, there's something exciting about that. So try to find the like excitement in things that you might dread. Yes, it's 16 hours, but also how cool that you get to hang with your bestie, have a champagne, watch that movie, do your job, and then come back. Life is not that hard for especially the content creators and the models. We're not curing cancer. We're not fighting wars. So I think a little sleep deprived, we're going to be okay.
Yeah, this reflects on all your work ethic, like what you're talking about, like during the show. Love that. What's the craziest story that happened to you throughout your career?
There's too many. You're going to hear later. I'm going to save those for tomorrow night. We have I share all my silly, crazy photo shoots and stories. But you name it, it's probably happened. Weird stuff like working with animals, they're not fun. Being in a room that's just full of fire, being in water, working with an elephant, they have to pee every 15 minutes. So you have to get the photo and then they got to go. Working with other people's children, it's kind of hard because it's not even your child. We call it guerrilla style, when you don't have the right to be maybe in a building or on the grounds, but you're shooting really fast and hoping no one gets you in trouble. Yeah, things where it's like you can't control the sun, you can't control the environment, but you have to produce this moment. Those are usually the most challenging. And then, of course, the team. You never know if you're getting, a good team or a bad team early on in your career because you don't know everyone. So that, I think, was the challenging moments is like, oh, I have a bully on set, or, oh, this person, they're just not fun to work with. But now I get to, let's say, per se, get to pick my teams a little more. And so it's great. It's fun. I love having a shoot where it's just full of laughs and giggles, and we create some fantastic things.
We're almost done. I just actually wanted to show you some photos. Just a sec. What would you say to this Coco? Any advice for her?
That photo looks so much like Ione right now. It's kind of crazy. I remember shooting that in like lower Manhattan. I remember it being so lost in like movement, didn't know what I was doing, but playing with my hair, my long, long hair. The photographer was like, yeah, keep going. And all the photos, it's just me tangling my hands in my hair. Around that time, I do remember hearing from a photographer saying, he showed me a photo of a famous model at the time. Her name is Gemma Ward from Australia. And he wanted me to copy this pose. And he said, be like this model. And then he said, you'll never be like her, but like try to be her. And I look back at that, and what a strange thing too. That guy already decided that I would never make it, but try to make it, but you're never going to make it. And I think it's such a shocking attitude to come to anything being like, well, it's never going to happen, so why even try?
Yeah.
And that time in my life, I remember hearing a lot of that. You're never going to make it, but like, I guess just do try. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to try now. You told me I can't have it. I definitely now I'm going to try for it.
Who is Coco Rocha in 5 to 7 years? What are you doing? Where are you?
Coco Rocha, I'm assuming, is still working with the next generations. If it is model camp, if it's in other ways, I think that this will never be something, education in fashion is never going to die out. Right, it evolves, and
I think you should call this camp Coco Rocha Confidence Camp for like all women, because it's for everyone. So it's just for models.
It's true. It started off for models, assuming that's who wanted this information. And you're right. Since then, it has been all sorts of beautiful people coming in here with the intent of like producing imagery in their businesses. But yeah, maybe it is going into like life coaching of confidence in another field, but it is still something special to me. I think we have something beautiful here, and we're at 5,000-ish models that have come through here.
Fascinating.
I would love to hear that number in the tens and the hundreds of thousands, and that to the point where the industry has slowly evolved into something far more beautiful than it is right now. We're on a good path and journey, but we need to like go faster and quicker.
So would you say this is the most exciting thing you do now in your career?
I think that this is the most fulfilling when I see the feedback of what has happened to the models. Like when I hear like a year's time from now and like, wow, James will be like, that girl, she came to model camp. I'm like, wait, isn't that, oh my goodness, I just saw her. That's always amazing. Yeah. Not that model camp was the moment that changed their career, but it's just fun to know you had a little bit of part of it.
Yeah. Coco, thank you so much. You're exciting. You're fascinating. Everything that you do is so much inspiration for everyone watching.
Thank
you so much.
Thanks for being here. Get ready for your next class now.